All right, let's go to this conversation now. Defend Our Democracy is going to be hosting a conference that is going to be looking at democratic renewal and change. This will happen this weekend. Let's get more details now with Defend Our Democracy Convenor, Reverend Ntlha. Thank you so much, Rev, for your time. In fact, I am made aware that the Reverend's line, unfortunately to us, has dropped, and we are, of course, hoping to speak to him about this conference that is coming up at the weekend. You'd remember there was, of course, even that document that they had put together as Defend Our Democracy. And I'm made aware that Rev is back. Reverend Ntlha, I'm not sure if you can hear me. Are you able to tell us about this upcoming conference and its aim?
Right, yes. The conference coming up tomorrow and Saturday is a conference that is aimed at going beyond what we now know. I think we've just been landed a damning report by the Zondo Commission that speaks to the capture of our state, to the paralysis in our politics, and to all of the things that we've got familiar with over the last several months and years. And what the conference seeks to do is to figure out how to go beyond this moment of crisis to a place where the citizens of this country begin to reimagine a new politics, a new way of engaging government, so that there is a greater mechanism for accountability, because that's one of the things that we saw suffering within the report by the State Capture Commission. And the worrying tendency that it doesn't appear that what Zondo has summarized in his report seems to be sinking among those that are vying for political office going forward. We are looking forward to the way that those recommendations can help us.
And Rev, I mean, you talk about something, around the envisioning of a new politics. What does that look like, though, at a practical level, especially now that you're also talking about the Zondo Commission? I mean, we've seen, even as you say, the final installment there, and how some are not even taking its findings seriously.
Correct. What we've seen particularly in the last local government elections, there was a very, very low turnout, all-time low. And because of that, we realized that we have to begin to get a new way of re-engaging the population, to ignite the passion of South Africans to take responsibility for the democracy that we have, and in that way begin to build the trust between the governed and those that are governing. In that way, a civil society campaign that we have been over the last 1 year will, going forward, begin to take concrete measures of actually implementing the resolutions of the conference coming up.
And when we talk about, this particular implementation, because yes, some people have been disillusioned. You look at the Auditor General's report, for example, which paints a very dire picture of municipalities. Some are even regressing. Others are, really wasting money. At the same time, you have, people who say that they don't even feel like they're part of the system at all, or there are even mechanisms to be able to assist them to even take part. So how then do you begin at a practical level to change that at grassroots level, so that more and more people take part and they're not disillusioned, as you've also alluded to a little earlier on?
I think South Africans have a memory at one time in not so distant past, where in every township, in every city, there used to be civic organizations that knew exactly how to hold government at local level accountable to the aspirations of the citizens. In the last several decades, I think we've lost the momentum in grassroots organizations. The communities are very disorganized, and so you have a lot of opportunistic tendencies where people can hold an entire community hostage because they know that people are not organized. So we're looking to organizing bottom up from the grassroots civil society organizations that can begin to mobilize around those issues that affect them at the local level, but connecting those as well with national issues. Yeah.
And Rev, one of the things that I saw in April, for example, was part of those national, documents that were looking into democratic renewal as well. But one of the things that, Defend Our Democracy also talks about there is that this comes at a time when the democracy is under threat, among others, particularly, you're looking at vigilante incidents, you're looking at what has also been called xenophobic incidents by part of this document. Let's talk about the significance of that then as you go into the conference this weekend.
Yes, I think the vigilantism often is occasioned by ordinary people feeling taken for granted, not being listened to. In fact, South Africans have invented a new official language. There's an assumption, a growing tendency among communities that if you want to be heard, you have to use a different language, such as violence. And the more things you burn up, the more you are likely to be heard. And I think that disillusionment is beginning to become our official language now. And this talks to the disillusionment of people, of not being heard, of not having the organs by which they can participate constructively in not destroying the infrastructure that has been built painstakingly over the years. And so all we are looking to doing in this conference is to channel the energy of the people and have them apply the collective mind on what actually is the crisis that we are facing and what is the most constructive way of dealing with it from every fundamental issue relating to our democracies, including our constitution, to say in which ways can we better chart the way forward so that all Democrats, all people committed to our constitution, to our democracy, can feel able to have leverage that helps them to hold those in power accountable.
There was a statement I saw a little earlier on today of various NGOs, including yourselves, reacting very strongly to what you call an attack on the Helen Suzman Foundation by the Home Affairs Minister. Which part of his remarks were you unhappy with?
Say that again. I missed
there was pardon me. There was a statement this afternoon by the NGOs that are reacting to the Home Affairs Minister's remarks on the Helen Suzman Foundation's court challenge, and that statement was reacting very strongly, saying that you perceive this as an attack on the Helen Suzman Foundation.
If I understand you well, you are referring to the move by the Minister of Home Affairs against the migrants, especially from Zimbabwe. Is that the one that you're referencing?
Yes, it's about those permits. Yes, it's about that process of the permits. There is a statement that was released by various NGOs, including yourselves, reacting very strongly to the minister.
Yes, I think our sense is that the whole approach of attacking the Helen Suzman Foundation, which was basically taking issue with the way that ordinary people were being victimized, instead of making sure that there is a better way of dealing with it at policy level, and that the government ought to take care of those issues that government ought to take care of with regard to migrations in the sub-region, so that ordinary people do not end up paying the price of misgovernance by those who hold power. And so anyone who raises their voice in that instance becomes a victim hard-handed government response, and that's the essential issue that worries us.
All right. Rev, thank you so much for your time this evening. Appreciate it. That was Defend Our Democracy Convenor, Reverend Moss Ntlha.